made this event possible. And really, if we could give Sana Fadel a round of applause for all of the amazing work she has done to pull this event together. We're all here because of her. And just a quick note that we are live streaming this event on YouTube. Just so everyone knows, we're being filmed. And we're also hoping that people will tweet and post on social media about what we're doing here today. There is publicly available Wi-Fi that you can find on your phone, and later on we'll give you the hashtags that we're using for the event. And with that, I'd like to invite Representative Kay Khan to open the event and give some remarks. She's the lead sponsor on a couple of the amazing bills we're working on today.
Wow, that's a big one. That I was also the lead sponsor on a bill on expungement last session that was incorporated into the current criminal justice reform bill, which passed in 2018. So we were really pleased that we were able to get something in there about expungement. It was the first time ever, important because it really helps us move forward and know what we really need to tackle. Just to let you know that I've also been contacted by individuals who are incarcerated, who are organizing themselves and their families to advocate also for raising the age, using their lived experiences and telling their stories. So again, all together, I think with your energy, with your support today, and the energy of all of the advocates and folks in the room, I really hope we can get this done. I'd like to go higher than 21, but I'll be happy if we can get to 21. And sometimes you just have to do it in incremental stages, and so that's why we are here. So I just want to make sure you continue to advocate, even if you're not here and you have friends who are interested, they can contact their legislators. So I'm sure you'll learn today who your legislators are. And what's really important is to get to know who your legislators are. So no matter where you live, what community you live in, it's an election year, so there's going to be a lot of activity, people running for office or running for re-election. And so it's just so important to be engaged in your communities and to know who your officials, your public officials are, or those who would like to be a public official. So I really encourage you to do that. And also, you should know that we passed legislation here, I think it's a couple of sessions ago, maybe you can help me, but on raising lowering the age to vote, to pre-register to vote. So you can now all pre-register to vote when you're 16. And there's not much time between being 16 and 18, so it's a great opportunity to really think about the importance of voting, the importance of registering to vote. So if you have friends or siblings who are 16, get them out there. Make sure they get to contact the Register of Motor Vehicles, and they can sign up they can pre-register to vote. So that's also important, because I think the earlier you register to vote, the earlier you vote, the more engaged you are in the whole process, the more opportunity you have to learn who represents you. And talk to your representatives, give them a phone call, send them an email, send them a letter, and just stay active. So even though you're knocking on doors today, follow up with a phone call, follow up with a message, follow up with an email, and just keep it going. And we don't have a lot of time left before the end of the session. We're hoping to get bills out of committee by February the 5th, so that's not much time either. So people are really busy, very engaged, and working hard. So we want to continue to work hard. You want to also really give it that push. And I also want to now introduce a few more people who have entered the room, for a few more of my colleagues. Representative Sean Garbely is here. And Representative O'Day, who was the co-sponsor of legislation to raise the age. So we're working hard, and just want to congratulate you all for coming. And it's just exciting to see all the energy in the room. And I I was lucky enough to get a little photograph. I'm going to post it on my Facebook page. So please go to my Facebook page and check it off that you like it. All right, thank you again.
So I'm just very briefly going to go through the flow of the day and then turn it over to Sana for the substantive content. So we have some great speakers lined up to talk to everyone about the bills that we're working on and the talking points that you might want to use in your meetings with legislators. And then a lobbying 101 session with tips and tricks on a successful meeting with your legislators, how to meet with your rep and your senator. And then after you all go out and meet with your senators, we're hoping you'll come back here and return feedback forms so that we can keep track of your meetings and make sure that all of this important legislation moves forward. And as we said before, there's free public Wi-Fi. It's called State House Public Wi-Fi, and we're hoping that everyone will post on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, using these hashtags: Youth Justice MA, Clean Slate MA, and Raise the Age MA. And then finally, after the program, if you still have questions about talking about the bills, we have a bunch of volunteers. Volunteers are wearing name tags like this. Volunteers, can you just raise your hands so folks know who they can talk to if they need more support? You'll also pick up a packet from the back table there that looks like this. Oops, not that. This. It's got a cover sheet and then a folder for your representative and a folder for your senator with the talking points in it, so you can have those handy when you have your meetings. And then finally, Representative Khan talked about the importance of voting and registering to vote. We have a table with registration forms behind Aaron, who can maybe raise his hand so you can find that table. So if you're not registered and you need a form and you're 16 or older, please take one and register yourself to vote. And with that, I will turn it over to Sana.
Thank you, everybody. It's really great seeing all of your faces here, all your energy. How many of you are excited to meet with your reps and senators today? How many of you know what you're going to be talking about? Yeah, okay, that's why we're here. So first, I want to thank Chairwoman Khan for hosting us today. Representative O'Day, thank you so much. Lead sponsor on the Rep Khan on the Raise the Age bill. Leader Sarah Peak, Rep Garbely, and Rep Vargas. Did I miss anybody else? Thank you so much. And we have aides from Senator Jalen's office, and anybody else? So the reason we point out all these legislators because they're here to say, like, we care. We know you're going to be talking to legislators and convince their colleagues, but they're here to say, like, you know what? We are your support. We are your champions in this building. So it's really great having them here. So the reason I asked, and the point of today is for you to actually meet with your legislators. You guys care so much about young people today and young people as they grow up into adults. What you need to do is all the people in this building represent your interests, and there's no way they know what's in your head unless you actually tell them. So what this portion is about is actually explaining what these bills are and some talking points. Just house cleaning. When you came in today, we gave you like a little packet. All of the things I have in the PowerPoint are in there, so if you want to write notes or whatever, that stapled packet is for you to take care of. Use whatever notes, take questions, anything you want. At the end, you will have 2 legislative packets. Those are the things you hand over to the legislator. If you have questions, you're unclear, just tell them the information is most likely in that folder. You're going to have 2 packets. One is for your representative, one is for your senator because you have 2 meetings, and then the feedback form. So that's how what we're going to get today. So there are 5 bills we are highlighting today around young people. The first one is around raising the age of juvenile jurisdiction. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is when my little one was 4 years old. He was walking down one day in the street, and he's like, "Mom, when do you become an adult?" I said, 18, but sometimes 21. And his answer to me was, "You can't be an adult when you're 18. It has the word teen in it. That sounds like a teenager." I'm like, okay. So that's sort of like similar logic to what we're trying to go. And I know the whole point of when do you become an adult is a question that comes up a lot. And nobody just says, "I'm an adult today." We transition into adulthood. And the whole point of this legislation it says in our legal system, there is a clear cutoff. How do you account for this transition? So in Massachusetts, we have a problem. And in most states in the US. Older teens, we're talking about 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, if they get in trouble with the law, they are automatically prosecuted as an adult. There is no exception to that. The problem with that is, what we know with data is young people who are in the adult system, these older teens, if they come into the adult system, they are more likely to recidivate. So if you're incarcerated in a prison or jail, 3 out of 4 are going to come back into our system for a totally new offense. If you're in the juvenile system, the recidivism rate is a fraction of that. The biggest difference between the juvenile system and adult system is the juvenile system is set on rehabilitation. So the idea is you did something you violated the law, but we're not giving up on you. You need the treatment, you need the education, you need the connection to caring adults to help you transition into adulthood, and you need a lot more support than someone who is not court involved. And at the end, when you have a record, it's a little bit more confidential than a Corey record, which anybody can see. The collateral consequences of getting into the adult system are huge for young people. So what we're trying to do is we want to gradually, and the word gradually is important because it's not like today, okay, all 18, 19, 20-year-olds on the juvenile system. Over a 5-year period, we want to raise the juvenile age, so get 18, then 19, then 20-year-olds into our juvenile justice system. So the idea is they're more likely to be connected to education, treatment, employment opportunities, and they will not have the collateral consequences of an adult record or adult prosecution. One of the things that comes up is Rep. Khan was talking about raising the age for 17-year-olds. We heard the same exact arguments today that we're hearing today. They're adults. They need to know adult crime, adult time, all of that things. Our system would be overwhelmed. We were successfully able to integrate 17-year-olds, and in your package you'll have information about this. But the fact is, ever since we have 17-year-olds in the juvenile system, we have less young people in the juvenile system today with an older cohort than we did just a few years ago, just before raise the age, just like 2010, 12, 11, and 12. We had more young people in the juvenile system before we had 17-year-olds. And our juvenile crime is going down, and we can absorb these 18 and 19, 20-year-olds. So your problem, what's the solution? An important thing, this line is important. I want you meet with your representative and senator and you say, I want you to ask the Judiciary Committee, and the committee is important, to report out favorably House Bill 3420 and Senate 825. They're both the same bill. Next, we're talking about expungement. Expungement was something that, again, was new to our state. It passed for the first time in 2018. If you worked on expungement, do it. Whoop, I'm not a young person. Whoop, do this whoop thing. So many young people. The young people pushed us grown-ups to push for expungement, but today, expungement is out of reach for most of these young people. The eligibility is so limited. We can count on one hand who can be eligible today under expungement. So all we want to do in trouble in 4 years. Their likelihood of rearrest is equal to the general population. There is no risk of them reoffending that is different than you and me. So what we want to do is we want to change the law to say, change it from like you can only get in trouble once with the law, to say like, look, if you have not reoffended and not been rearrested for the past, met with her, and she's like, you guys need to raise the age past 18. And here we are today, still making that ask. So thank you so much. And she's also been the lead on the expungement and saying, you know what, make it up to 21, and we're here for that. So, Senator President, like we're here because of your leadership. So thank you so much. So, next bill is our. I'm sorry.
Did you say a few words?
Of course.
Sorry.
Nope.
I will be fast. Thank you so much. Thank you. I just want, first of all, thank Representative Kay Khan for organizing this and having all this here, and thanks all of you for coming here. You don't realize, I don't think, how much of a difference you make when you raise your voices loud and clear. You are heard. The reason we have expungement to begin with, the reason that we did raise the age a few years back, is because of all of you. So I want to give all of you a round of applause and thank you. I have to say, if I had my choice, I would raise the age to 25. that's where it should be. We're not there yet, but we will keep pushing for at least to 19 and then beyond. But you need to really keep it up. Expungement, as was mentioned, I was really proud and thrilled when folks first came to talk to me about it, and happy to be a part of it. Did we get it 100% right? Clearly no. We need to keep collecting and requiring the data collection and data transparency to end racial disparities. The student school exclusion is an issue that we need to continue to work on, and ending the criminal prosecution of teens who engage in the consensual sexual conduct. We need to ensure that that doesn't keep happening. So these are some very concrete things that, as you go around speaking to people, make sure you are loud and clear with this. And the only other word I want, well, the two things I want to say: be persistent. Persistence pays off. We wouldn't have the original expungement but for persistence. We wouldn't have raising the age but for persistence. It will happen. Just have faith. It takes time. I've had bills when I was working with folks to get rid of the old chin system, reforming it. It took 7 years. 7 years. If you keep it up, it will happen. And the last thing I want to, just like I started out with, saying thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Senate President. This was a lovely surprise, so it's great to have you here. Now back to the boring stuff. So the next bill is around data. So if you have a problem, how do you fix it? Don't collect the data, then it's not a problem. So if I can summarize the problem, that's basically what our problem is. In Massachusetts, we have a problem of collecting just basic data on who enters the juvenile justice system and what happens to them. So you come in and say, well, let's decriminalize this, or let's make sure young people, if this happens to young people, or there's all these racial disparities. Well, how can we make it transparent? How can we show it? We can't without data. And that's a problem in Massachusetts. We've been fighting for this bill. This is probably year 13 or 14 for juvenile justice data transparency. And that is a problem. The fact that we cannot tell you which young people are being diverted altogether out of the juvenile justice system. We don't know. We think there is a disparity in that, but we can't tell. We think that that's one of the reasons there's more black and brown kids in court than not. We can't tell you that because we don't collect that data. What about young people? Which young people are indicted and sentenced to as a youthful offender with an adult sentencing possibility or not? We don't know. Okay, you arrest all these kids. How many of them actually get arraigned and get a record? And how many of those arrests lead to actually someone being, oh no, yes, you are adjudicated a delinquent, the version of you are guilty? We don't know. And those are questions that are just not right for us to not have. They're very, very basic data. And one of the most troubling reasons we're not having this is because Massachusetts has one of the worst racial disparities in our juvenile incarceration in Massachusetts, but it's not a DYS problem. The problem starts from who knocks at that front door and which kids get criminalized for their behavior and who are not. So, one of the things we're trying to do is we just want to collect basic demographic data and key demographic area: race, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, age, and the type of offense. How many kids are being arrested for trespass? What happens if you're arrested for trespass? Is it such a big deal that there's so many kids being arrested, but like one may be found delinquent of it? Well, why are we arresting all? These are questions we don't know. And those are the kind of things we want to get, the demographic data. And are we doing it fairly? And that's the most important thing, is what we're doing fair, that regardless of your skin color or where you come from, you are treated equally based on your behavior and what we can do, rather than because of where you live and what your skin color is. So the ask, this is a public safety committee, a different committee. So you meet with your rep and senator and say, we want you to ask the public safety committee to report out favorably Senate House 2141, Senate 1386. Next one, this is a little complicated, so if you have any questions, make sure to grab one of us. This is a school to prison pipeline issue, so it's not, it started off as a bill around kids who are court involved. If you have a court case, the school has a right to suspend you from school and expel you, even if that offense has nothing to do with what's happening in school. So that's problem number one. So if someone files a complaint about you in court for a felony, any felony, if I stab someone or I kick someone, it doesn't matter. It's a felony. And all I have to do is someone just to file a complaint. There is no due process in a complaint. Anybody can go in and file a complaint. That's the point where a kid can be suspended. That's the problem. The second problem is this whole any felony, if they're found delinquent or not. If it's a felony, they can be expelled. Well, what's the difference? DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, when this law came about, it's like, well, don't do it for any felony. You should do it for serious violent felonies because those are a public safety risk. Our law does not match that. So what we want to do is we want to match the guidance, have the law match the guidance. So we want to say that the felony has to be a serious and violent felony. And the second problem is that, I'm jumping to the solution already, but second problem is there's another part that says if a child brings in a weapon, assaults school personnel, or has a drug offense, you can be expelled. Here's the problem. This is considered an assault. Our laws do not say what the assault is. This 12-year-old foster kid in Worcester Public School went and unprovoked and hugged his teacher unwantedly. He was suspended for 10 days under an assault of a teacher. Again, there's different ways of dealing with this, but we want to make sure there is a school of conduct, there is school discipline laws, there is the part that says you can be expelled has to be really, really limited. A weapon, I'm going to use a weapon right now, pew, pew, pew. That is literally, if I use a paper clip, pew, 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 that is a weapon under our law because it says any weapon. We want to define weapon to be a dangerous weapon as defined by federal law. The assault has to be with intent and willfulness that you could potentially actually harm someone. And then the final one is around, the second one is around drugs. We want to take out marijuana from that statute that deals with other controlled substances. Don't want to deal with heroin and cocaine and marijuana in the same statute. The ask. You're going to go ask them, please ask the Education Committee to report out favorably House Bill 531, Senate 297. Final one, my favorite one to talk about because I want to get past because I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So Massachusetts is one of 4 states that does not have what's called a peer exception to the statutory rape and assault laws. So if you're a young person under 16 who is sexually active or engaged in any sexual activity and is consensual, you are both a victim of statutory rape and a perpetrator of statutory rape at the same time because we don't have that peer exception. We're not talking about consensual or not. We're just saying if it's consensual and they're close in age, can we make that exception? The problem with this law right now, it's not used a lot, but when it's used against boys, especially boys engaged in same-sex activity. Biggest talking point, this is something that it's personal, moral, whatever your faith is, all of these things around teen sexual activity, it's really a public health issue. It's something for the community. It is not the role of police and prosecutors to impose someone else's moral values. What happens is I would never call the cops if my son was engaged in sexual activity at that age, but someone else's parent would. And that's what usually happens. A parent dislikes a relationship, and they will call on the other kid. And that undermines public health, because if it's a crime, it's harder to talk to your pediatrician, harder to talk to your faith-based leader, harder to talk to your school nurse, because you're like, is this a crime? Do I need to report it? It's always that question hanging over, rather than saying, okay, let's talk about it openly. So we want to create this limited exception, compared to what other states are, the other 46 states, this is very limited. We're only saying for allowing exceptions for 13 and 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, and saying that the other partner can be no more than 2 years older. So no matter what, this is all under, so everybody's still close in age, and they're probably in the same schools. The ask. Please ask the Judiciary Committee to report out favorably House 1493, Senate 1014. Now, we're going to talk about, well, we know what these bills are. Well, how do I actually have that meeting? And with that, Marisol will give us guidance.
That was really great. Senate had definitely the heavy lifting part of this activity, which outlining those 5 bills, and she did a terrific job. My part is a little bit easier, but I want to preface it by saying that I didn't start lobbying, or I didn't start coming to this building until I was an adult. So seeing you guys here is really impressive, because even after I first started coming here, I was intimidated by lots of things about like the building, getting in here, figuring out where the offices are, who's my legislator, and do I know exactly what I want out of this process. And so I'm really impressed with how CFJJ has outlined all this stuff and giving you guys the language to use. P.S. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for over 20 years. Sometimes when you're first starting something, it's totally okay to read directly from the paper. You know, I mean, hey, that's how everybody starts, right? You might have the bill number on there. You want to say exactly what you want to say on the ask. You want to say what you're talking about. That's totally legit and a way to go about this. But let's start from the beginning. Okay. So the first part is you have to find out who your legislators are. It's on the internet. Who would have thought? You go to masslegislature.gov, and there's a part that says Find My Legislator, and you can click on that. You can do it on your phone, and Colleen's in the back. She's raising her hand. She's wearing a very colorful top for this purpose, and she can help you find your legislator. So you're going to go to step 2, which you just have to put in your street address. So if you know your address, pop it in there, hit search, and it'll pull up some people. These are people that we're using as an example. It'll tell you who the senator is and who the representative is for your area. They're going to be really interested in hearing from you because you live in their district. So that's super important. And you say, I live in the district, or I'm one of your constituents. It's going to tell you right on the website. It's going to tell you the room number, so where you're going. Okay? Pro tip, as people say. If it says room 243, it's on the 2nd floor. It starts with a number. 243 is on 2, 343 is on 3, etc. You get it. If it's only 2 numbers, it's in the basement. So like, I didn't figure that out for a little while. So if it's like room 27, it's like on the basement level. A lot of you in this room already know this better than me. But you'll write your legislator's name and room numbers on the feedback form to help you remember who you went to see. You're going to meet with your rep first because they're probably in a space that they're sharing with other folks, and you know, they're the ones that are like most closely connected to you, so you can go there first, and then your senator will have their own office. You can go there second. You may not get to meet with the person in the picture. You may not get to meet with that senator or that representative. I don't always get to meet with that senator or that representative, but they have staff. They might have a legislative aide or a chief of staff or a legislative director who might come out and talk to you guys. They are important people. They're going to have the most time to talk to you. You're going to tell them what your issue is, why you're here, that you're in the district, and you can also follow up with them too. They're more accessible to you. So you may not be able to meet with the legislature, but the aide will have time for discussion, and those legislative aides, those legislative staff, they're the ones that will look into the issue more, and they may be able to give you an idea of, you know, how the rep or the senator might feel about this issue. Another tip is when you see their picture, you might see what types of committees they're on. Like, for example, Rep. Khan is a perfect example. She's a chair on family, children and family and persons with disabilities. So when you look at that, you know that she's a person who cares about young people. And when you look at what committees you're a person on, or what type of legislation, what type of bills that they've tried to put forward, you can get a sense of what they care about. And that's an important way to figure out who your rep is, who your senator is. So if you convince the aide of your position, you're 80% done with your work, they're going to present that to the rep or the senator. Getting ready for your meeting. Okay, so your meeting will probably be between 15 to 30 minutes. You cover your priorities first. You figure out which one of these 5 are important to you. It could be expungement, could be raise the age, and then you'll look at some of the background and you'll tell them your feelings about this, like why this is important to you. You might give time if you go in a group, which there's some signs up on the wall, so you can find a group if you want to go with the folks from New Bedford, Fall River, Brockton, Lowell. I'm not just picking areas that I work in. Boston's in the back, so if you want to go with a group, if that's easier for you, then you can hook up with those folks. And then you want to make sure that each person has an opportunity to have some say. All right. There's going to be times you're not going to know the answer to the question. They might ask you a question that you don't know the answer to. Just be honest. There's no shame in being like, I don't know that right now. I can get back to you. It also gives you an opportunity to circle back with that person. You can say, I have this piece of information I want to share for you. Or you can, offer to send them an email or a phone call about the thing that they asked you about. It's another point of contact. Be courteous with the person. They may not know about what you're bringing up to them, but that doesn't mean that they don't care. There's a lot of people coming in and out of this building, raising issues, and sometimes people forget, but this is your chance to make an impression about them, about what you care about. So be courteous. If they disagree with you, then you just want to make sure that everything comes out in a respectful way, and you might have the opportunity to bring it back to their attention, like many speakers, smarter people than me have said before right now, this takes time, this is gradual, this is you're at the beginning of your journey with this, so you want to make sure that it's a good first step. So what do you say? You say, you say your name. I'm a resident of, so I would say, I'm Mari Garcia, I'm a resident of Westford, Massachusetts. I'm a constituent of, oh my gosh, I forgot my rep's name. It'll come back to me. I'm here because I care about young people, and I'd like to talk to you about 2 or 3 bills that I would like the rep or the senator to report out favorably. So, and you can read that for the first couple times when you practice it. You just have to say your name, you would like to talk to someone, where you live, why it's relevant. And then for each bill, you give the bill number, what committee it's in. That's all on the documents that we've given you guys, and you can explain the problem from your experience. If I was going to talk about raise the age, back in the day, I would have said, my name is Marisol Garcia. I've been a juvenile court attorney for 20 years. I've arraigned kids as young as 7. I really don't think that that's appropriate. Let's move that up. So that's something that doesn't happen anymore, which is great. But in the past, I have arraigned some very short people. So you can talk from your own experience. You can talk about, things that Senna covered, like why those things are relevant, that, the older that kids are involved in the juvenile justice system and able to access services, the more important it is for their future. So just speak from the heart. Okay, so you can say in the meeting how you think this will fix the problem. We've laid out some points for you on the sheet, and you can share statistics, but only if you have them. I had a former brother-in-law used to make statistics up. It's obvious, don't do that. People will know. So if you have statistics, you have phones, you want to bring out something poignant, you can. You can share it from your own experience that, you worked in the system, or if you've been involved in the system, or if you've seen other people that have had things impact their future. Talk about that. Sometimes statistics are great, but sometimes stories are what stick with people. See, you'll never forget my brother-in-law now. You'll be like, wow, that's so weird. What do I say? So leave room for discussion and answer to questions. You can ask, do you think that the representative or the senator will support this? They may know already, or they may know already that they're supporting this, or they may say, I can get back to you. Thank them for their time, for talking to you. And, follow up with a thank you note or a thank you email. That's always a nice touch. Then they remember you, and if you ever come back, they'll be like, oh, I remember we talked about that. And then there's a feedback form that people want you to return and bring it back here, and you can write the rep's name on there or the senator's name on there that you went to see and give us some feedback. Oh, there's the email, see? And, oh yeah, social media is really good. That's obvious. But it's a great way to connect with folks. I mean, Twitter is a great way to connect with folks, legislators and reps in the building. You can see the things that they're working on for you. It's surprising how much stuff they actually post on their pictures. You can see where they are and what they care about. And have fun. Thank you all for coming. It's really amazing and inspiring to see you.
Thank you, Marisol. So, this is it. If you have questions, go to some of the organizers and ask them questions. You want to practice, you want to have questions in the bills. You're ready to go meet with your legislators. Meet first with your representative, then go to your senator. If you need help finding who they are on your phone or with Colleen. And what you're going to do before you leave the building, Erin on the back, she has legislative packets. So what you have in your hand is for you to write on. What you will have, you will get 3 pieces of information from Erin. 1 folder that is blue, 1 folder that is red, 1 is for your representative, 1 is for your senator, and then that feedback form Marisol talked about. If they have a question, write it on that feedback form. We can get back to them with those answers. We would love to know who you met with and what if they think they're going to be supportive of it or not, or if they have any questions. Those feedback forms are really important for us to do the legwork after your meeting. So please go there, write them out. After your meetings, come by, say bye to us, and you're done. And we will be here until 4:30, so thank you all so much. You're on your way. And for those